Go Fishing is brought to you by Culprit Confidence with every cast, Phoenix Boats, experience the difference, and Power Pole, swift, silent, secure.
Today we're going to do a river drift. It's middle of summer, it's forecast to be 99 degrees today, really hot, and this current offers these fish a lot of refuge from the super hot conditions that you would get on a reservoir. Right now the water temperature in some of the lakes is approaching 90 degrees, so anytime you can get moving water, the fish will be a lot more active. At least that's what I'm hoping, because we got 14 miles to go today. But I've got several baits rigged up, top water, spinner bait, flipping bait, and I'm hoping a lot of these little bends in this river will be full of largemouth. So let's see what we can do. He hit it right out in the very middle of the current, like before this big bend right here. A little walking bait. That guy. That's one thing about these creeks, is there's a lot of fish this size. You know, a pound, pound and a half, but they're really fun because it's close quarters and your boat's always about to smash into something. Just a whole lot of fun. That was quick. I hope they keep biting like that all day. Oh, it's a good one right there. Oh, right at the end of a little deep bend. Oh my goodness, is that thing fighting. Oh my gosh. A little bit of water willow up there on the bank. That's the perfect little ambush spot. Gosh, is that thing ever mean. He's up in the weeds. Oh my gosh, he's going again. I can't even stop him. You hook a fish like this on a reservoir this time of year, he plays dead, but this thing is mean. Oh, he's gonna go right there. Oh, come here, buddy. That is not a bad fish right there for a little creek run. You know, I'm accustomed to only catching a few like that. We literally just started this drift. You know, on these creeks, I'm usually catching small fish, so anytime you get one 3+ pounds, that's a good fish right there. Man, did he ever smoke that thing too. All I'm throwing is a little top water walking bait. Something easy to cast, and this water's really clear, so you want something moving kind of fast. Later on, I'm gonna mix it up with some swim baits and stuff, but that's pretty good right there early in the morning. Man, that was fun. I hope all day is like that. That is typical for where I would get a bite. If you look up that river right here, there's a bend, and then just before it tapers off and gets shallow, that big fish likes to sit at the very end of the run, right where the current starts speeding up. Any bait fish that gets close to the end of that pool and gets sucked into that current goes right into that fish's little hiding spot, and it's a good ambush spot. So that's probably going to be the pattern. That's very typical. Ooh. He bit it kind of a ways from the bank. Again, this getting the tail end of a bend is where it seems like these fish are. You know, if there were smallmouth in here, they would be up at the very start of the pool. But these largemouth, they like it, especially if there's backflow at the very end of it. That's where they tend to be. It's chasing a little bit of bait up there on the bank. Got him on the old swim bait. When I get to stretches where I feel like there's not a whole lot going on, and I could fish really, really efficiently with this swim bait, and I very rarely get hung up, and it's still really appealing to the fish, and it's a good thing to throw, just moving really fast. Ooh. Oh, what is that? Mudfish. That was unusual. He came way out in the middle of the river to get it. I thought for sure that was gonna be a bass the way he came out after it. Check out this old nasty thing. This is what you don't want to encounter when you're fishing in a river. They got teeth retracted in their mouth. You don't even want to touch them. They stink so bad. But let me get the pliers on this guy, shake him off. Ooh, it's a huge wave coming. Oh my God. He got it. Oh, it's another one of those mudfish. He threw a wave 15 feet across that little shoal. Look at this nasty thing. Man. Look at that guy. Oh, now that was a cool bite. He actually went down river to get it. There must have been some backflow. It's fun swim bait. You know, swim bait is such a visual bait. It's really good in these shallow water current things, and you can keep it in sight all the time, and almost as fun as top water, if not more fun, because you get really hard direct hits. Right where that fish bit, if you could see up there, there's a little log and a cut in right there, and the current actually goes back up. It's coming down there so hard that it's creating an eddy, and that fish was right in that eddy, and that's very typical for where you'll find a river fish. Look at that. Oh. That is a nice fish. I didn't even see the fish bite or anything. I just picked up and it was heavy. Oh my gosh. They hit it a lot of times too. In addition to the back eddy spots, there'll be undercut banks and it's zero current way up under there, and they just sit under there, and it's the perfect little spot, but they have to be a super fast feeder. And swim bait, that culprit and credit swim, is such an easy lure to fish. You don't get hung up. You can throw right tight to those banks where those roots are, whereas if you throw a top water with treble hooks or something, you'd be hung up a lot. So that little swim bait is awesome. Bye-bye, baby. Starting to get hot now. Sun's finally up over those trees. So on this type of river system, there's very little fishing pressure. Might get a few people drifted on the weekends, but it's less a function of the perfect lure rather than an efficient lure. And the swim bait is just so deadly effective. I can throw it in places that you would never throw a topwater bait. Oh. I like in those little flat areas too. Multiple patterns starting right now. These little flat spots right here like this, so it's just I see one swimming up there right now. Just cruising around. Here he comes. Oh, he bit it too. I guess there's like very little current and it's super shallow. It's a good place to just chase some minnows early in the morning. I just looked up there and saw him just cruising. Decided to pick up the frog just for experimentation. This new culprit and credit frog. Never have thrown a frog of this style way up a creek like this. It seems like it would be perfect to get the little reaction strikes just off the bank. Ooh. He's hammered that. Seems like anytime I get in these big shady spots now is where they're biting, and I just switch to that frog and they want it bad. Nice. It's total reactionary. Just skittering across, it's like a buzzbait really. And but a whole lot more weedless. Of course, a buzzbait's pretty weedless as well, but this is a little bit more so if you make a bad cast. Oh, he's a big one too. Oh, mudfish. I thought that was a big bass, and it was a mudfish. Well, he's a nice mudfish. If you can say such a thing. Nice and mudfish usually don't go in the same sentence. But I have to say, he gave me a nice little thrill. Saw a wave coming. It took him a little bit to decide to get it. Hard to beat topwater for fun. A little gold frog. Looks like a little golden shiner to me, scurrying on the top. If you ever seen a bait fish like really frightened, they just skitter with the tail on the top of the water. That's what this frog imitates. You can hear the irrigation pipe going. And I threw up in the super shallowest water, did not even see a fish up there. And he was up there, like in the skinny stuff. I'm gonna take the boat over there just to show you guys. Let that guy go first. Now I cast right there, and that fish came from the bank from the right side and ate that thing. That's how shallow that fish was. Bump something here. Oh my gosh, he smoked that thing. He's a jumper. Oh my goodness. That frog is a lot of fun. It's a lot like the swim bait, except it's just reeling it in. There's nothing to it. He's totally ate it too. Oh, he saw it coming and he was moving towards it before it even hit the water. Man. And again, we got to this rock bank. It's been a while since we came to a rock bank. And every big steep rock bank, there's been fish on. All right.
No Fishing is brought to you by Culprit Lures, Phoenix Boats, and Power Pole.
When you're fishing small creeks like this, you know, there's generally a lot of little fish. But if you want to appeal to bigger fish, you need to throw bigger baits, and it also discourages some of those 10-inchers from biting, which are fun to catch, but once you catch a bunch of them, you know, you kind of want big fish. So a big frog and big swim bait on 50-pound braid might seem like overkill in one of these little rivers, but it gets you the bigger fish. Oh, that is the biggest one of the day right there. Monster. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh, 5-pounder. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is a giant for this river. I mean, totally out of place looking. Oh, what a nice fish. Oh my gosh. On that Incrediswim Pro Blue. My goodness, look at that thing. Beautiful, beautiful fish. And totally annihilated it. Don't get them like that in a little creek too often. That's really, really nice. Now it's got me wanting more. Swim bait, rest of the day. Oh, that was good. That little fish on that little back flow again. The water's really ripping right here too. I hardly even have time to cast. Oh, big one. Oh, perfect spot for a big old fish to be laying. What a stud right there for a creek. Oh, he's probably 4-ish. Not quite as big as that other big one I caught, but what a bite. Perfect right out of the current right there. Man. Swim bait again. Bye-bye, baby. Gosh, did he ever hammer that thing. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. I thought I was getting ready to get, oh, he didn't get it. He came way out off it. Man, he missed it the first time and decided it looked so tasty. Come back and got it. Another big key to fishing down a river with a swim bait, in my opinion, is braid, because I haven't retied a single time. I've caught a ton of fish and I don't have to, you know, I'm constantly moving. I don't have to waste time retying. So I'm using 50-pound braid with this swim bait, and obviously they're not caring about the braid being able to see it. So if you can get away with it, use it. Oh, I can't get up on the bank. I got it. A good one, slung on the log. Oh, there he comes. That's what that braid helps you out with right there. He'd have been a goner with 14-pound line. All right, good one. This is my tackle box for the day. So let me show you what I'm using today. Early this morning, I started out with a little topwater bait. And then for pure efficiency, I switched to a swim bait and a frog. And this is a Culprit Incrediswim in Pro Blue. It's got a little belly weight with a screw on the nose to hold it in place. And I fished with a double frog hook with this. And all these baits imitate bait fish trying to get away, and gets reactions out of these fish that have a short window to grab something because of the current. So that's what I'm using today. You know, the further I go down this river, the more these fish are getting dialed into the swim bait. And the water, they don't want the super fast current, and they don't want the really big logs. The best thing is a little nook out of the current for big fish, and the steep rocky banks just for numbers of fish. Just used my last Pro Blue. I had about 25 of them. Switching colors, see if it makes a difference. Because I got no choice. Other than, oh, that's a good one right there too. I thought he was a lot bigger than that, but he ain't bad. You can't beat this for July. I mean, I have caught fish after fish after fish on a swim bait in shallow water in July. So much fun. Oh, big one. Yeah, really big one. Golly. Oh. Man, I was totally not expecting that. We just went through this big, long stretch where there was no bends in the river channel at all. And that was literally, I was taking a break. This was my first cast in a good little while. That's a good fish right there. Golly. Yeah, when I made the cast in there, I saw a boil right on the bank, but my bait was like 15 feet away. And I guarantee you that little boil was this fish on the bank, and he ran 15 feet to grab that thing. That's awesome. And look how he ate it too. Smoked it. Oh. Yeah. That's on the, I used all of the Pro Blue and some a different little color there. My goodness. What a fish. What an awesome day. Drifted a creek, did not expect to catch any big fish, and I ended up with 5 fish that would have been over 20 pounds. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. It's the middle of July, 100 degrees outside, awesome fishing. And what I figured out was the bigger fish wanted that swim bait. Had I come down with its small little jerk baits and small topwater, probably wouldn't have caught as many big fish as I did. And I went through a pile of swim baits today. Probably caught 4 or 5 fish on each one of these swim baits. The next time you go out to a small creek, don't fish just little baits. Try some bigger baits, and maybe those big fish will all be aggressive for you. So now you know. I hit it, didn't I?